Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bad Teeth Builds, Steel Before Smiles. My name is Bo Sutton of Brand X Design, and I'm currently in the shop that I work in on a daily basis, Rula Custom Cycles in Exton, Pennsylvania. Today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I made this air cleaner and a couple little changes I made along the way. I think you're going to have a really good time. I really think you're going to enjoy it. And without further ado, and none of my teeth, this is Bad Teeth Builds, Steel Before Smiles.
Got no teeth, got no beef, got steel on my mind. Weld it, burn it, turn it. Bad Teeth Builds, Steel Before Smiles.
All right, guys, here we are. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to take you over to the computer and I'm going to show you a couple DXF files that I created for this air cleaner. That includes the SNS backplate, the mounting tab, the air cleaner face, the sides, both outside and inside. The dome section we'll get to after I get all that stuff done. I changed a little something on that, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, guys, here we are over at the computer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of these DXF files. This DXF file right here is the backplate for the SNS carburetor that we're going to use. I can do any carburetor, any bolt mounting pattern, any throttle body. So if and when you do order these, you just have to tell me which pattern you need, whether you have head breathers or not, and so forth and so on. But I'll get into all that later. Next, we're going to move over to the sides. I have a couple different sides. This is the inside strip, and then these are the outside strips. The one on Wayne's bike here is the oval strips. I think I might do the speed hole strips on this one, just to kind of switch it up and do something a little bit different. Also, keep in mind that I can pretty much do any combination of cutouts. We can even do a neat little piece of artwork in there for that cutout, for that stainless steel mesh. And here we're going to come over to the face. It's got the holes already set up for the rivets. The steel rivets I'm going to tack in there for decoration. And this is the simple mount that welds to the carburetor backplate that the air cleaner mounts to. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the laser and cut out a couple of these things. Here we are over at the laser. This is where I'm going to cut all the parts that I need to make for this air cleaner, with the exception of a couple small things that I'll fabricate separately. First of all, what we're going to cut is we're going to cut our sides and the inside and the outside, and then we're going to cut the face, and then we're going to move over to 11 gauge. I know it's a little bit of overkill, but I do love overkill for the backplate and for the mounting tab. And I'm going to bring you over there and show you this being cut right now. Okay, so I have all the parts off of the laser. I've pre-cut, did a little bit of prep work. I pre-cut the stainless that's going to go in there, and I've cleaned up the metal a little bit. I still have to wipe it down. You always want to make sure that when you weld, you're welding clean metal and you're using clean filler rod. I pre-bent the bracket and I welded the nut to it that will end up mounting somewhere around there. These are the rivets that I use. I shave them down so when I tack them to the back side of this, it's nice and clean. And it's a quick tack, nothing fancy. So what I'm going to do now is you can use pretty much anything that you can find to accomplish whatever project you're doing. What I'm doing is, before I set this inside ring and the outside ring, I'm going to pre-bend that on just a piece of pipe that we have. We use these pieces for making our oil tanks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this down here. I'm going to take this inner pair of vice grips, and you want it as straight as you can. I'm just going to clamp it just like that and give it a little bend. Again, you want to keep it about as straight as you can. Then I'm going to grab another pair of vice grips once I get it around. Give another little clamp. I'm going to work my way around this side. And it's just easier to pre-bend it instead of trying to bend it while you're fabricating, while you're welding it all together. Just a lot easier that way. I mean, there's still going to be a little bit more bending to do, but and then we'll just roll this around. And give it a little clampy clamp. Just like that. And then we'll take this piece and we'll roll it around. And just give that end a little clampy clamp. Again, you want to keep it about as straight as you can so it doesn't get all funky on you when you go to there. When you actually go to weld it. Now I'll unclamp everything. That's got a decent pre-bend to it. We're probably going to want a little bit more, but when we go to actually put it in here, as you can see, it's already started, and we can just spring it in there and work it around. Now I make everything just a touch longer so I can cut it down or trim it down if I have to. There's a pretty simple formula. This actually worked out pretty well. There's a pretty simple formula I use for this, and it's your basic circumference, diameter times pi. So whatever your finished diameter is going to be, just multiply that by 3.14, and it should give you just about the length that you need. If you're a little short or you're a little big, it's not that big of a deal. You just fill it in there nice, and you'll be all right. So this piece is pre-bent. And then we're going to come over here, and like I said, I think I'm going to use this one instead of the slotted piece. Just because I think I like a little variation, a little flavor, if you will. Now this is a little bit different because it's got the speed holes in it, so I'm going to roll it with my hand just like this, nice and easy. And we'll get a little bit more clamping on this one than we did on the other one. Again, you want to get it kind of nice and straight. And again, I'll roll it over. I like to start in the center or round about the center. And if it starts getting a little crooked on you, you just give it a little pull. See? We're going to go back over here. And you want to try and make sure that you get a good, clean bend. Whenever you've got those holes in there, that's going to be the weakest point. Finish getting this bend around and give it a little clamp, maybe a little tap, just like that. So that's a little bit of the prep work that I wanted to show you before I started putting these pieces together. And now we've got it pretty close. I'm definitely going to have to trim that just a little bit, but that's fine. That's why I make these a little bit longer. I was a little off on my measurements on that, but that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these rivets. these decorative rivets to the back side, and then I'm going to tack this inner ring in here and fill up the seam and dress that a little bit before I do anything else. Now remember what I told you, you want everything to be clean, so we're going to give this a little bit of a wipe around here. Just, if your fingers are dirty, just touch the edges. Try not to transfer anything. Got a rivet sit on there. I'm going to take my filler rod and give it a little bit of a wipe. Doesn't have to be super clean, but you definitely want it as clean as possible. Now what we're going to do is when we weld this, we're just tacking these in, so you want to focus your heat on the thick metal of the rivets. And then just just give it a little smoocheroo to the edge of the steel. Always make sure you have sharp tungsten and clean filler rod. Again, we're just giving a little bit of a tack. We're going to clean that up a little bit. These are just decorative. They are not made to hold anything or anything like that. They are just decorative. We're going to get here and get this real quick. Just a little kiss. Just a little kiss to the outside. You don't want to go too crazy. Okay, now I took the liberty of just pre-fitting this inner ring and kind of getting it going. What you're going to do is, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go around and I'm going to give a couple little tacks, and I want to make sure that this is pretty flush with this. It makes finish work, grinding down, cleaning everything up a lot easier. Now, I probably could have done this ring first and then done the rivets, but I do know from experience that getting inside the air cleaner to do these rivets isn't bad, but it's not the greatest situation in the world. So I prefer to do it this way. You just have to be a little careful when you're cleaning up around the rivets, which isn't hard. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, I'm going to give it a little tack, tack, tack all the way around, and I'm going to finish up this seam and dress it, and then we'll move on from there. Just little tacks. And I'm running about 50 amps. But I'm feathering my pedal a little bit. So I want to make sure it's nice and even around here, and it is. So I'm going to let this cool down for a second. I'm going to dress this inside edge, and then I'm going to move on to my next step. Okay, for our next step, what I've done is I've gone through, and that's where the seam was, and I cleaned up the inside of the seam nice, and cleaned up this whole area. Before we do any more welding on this, I need to put a dome in here. Now for the original air cleaner, what I used was, I had these hemispheres, and these are nice and beautiful, clean hemispheres. I use these hemispheres to make that dome. But, A, I don't have any more of those left, and B, I figured for this video it'd be more important to show you that I actually made this dome. Okay? I, stretched the middle, shrunk around the edges, ran it through a high crown roller on the English wheel. I did a lot of making do with what I have. That's why I've got this bolted here and these bolted here. I don't have a lot of fancy anvils or dollies or anything like that, but these nice curved edges, you can take a piece of sheet metal like this right here, and you just want to bolt it down so it doesn't move anywhere. But you can take, this is just for demonstration purposes, probably not the hammer I would use, but you can take it and you can start kind of tucking those edges a little bit and just keep working your way around until you get nice long tucks that you can work out and you get a nice shrink in here. I'm working on making a tucking stump, and that's another video I'll show you how I made this dish here. Now, they're not always 100% perfect. So sometimes you have to do a little scribing to make everything fit properly. But basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this on top of here. I've already done a little bit of scribing, a little bit of trimming. And I'm just going to find the right spot, which is about right there. And I'm going to mark around this, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out, and we'll be able to tack it onto the back side of this. So as you can see, I laid this down on top, found the best spot for it, and made my mark. What we're going to do now is we're going to cut this out real quick. Now I will say that I do like to cut outside the line a little bit because I'm going to fine tune it. I'm going to sand it down to make it fit perfectly inside of here. And then we'll go ahead and tack it down. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smooth these down all around, get up to that black line, and then I'm going to do a test fit, and I'm going to test fit a couple times before we get back to welding it on there. And I'll do that in a couple minutes. Okay guys, I've got it trimmed up and pretty close. Be sure, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, follow, do all that fun stuff. I'd really appreciate that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit just a couple of these areas, and I'm going to work my way around, and slowly I'm going to tap down the edges and get all the way around with everything tack welded on there. After we do that, we'll smooth everything out a little bit more, and then I will actually finish weld this backside, because again, it's going to be a lot easier to do that here than with this side on over here. So we're just going to start and get to it. A little tack there, and a little tack there. A little tackaroo. All right, guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean up these edges, and I'm going to do a finish weld, and I will show you that here soon. I finish welded this. I had to clean my welding helmet because I couldn't, there was a few places I couldn't see anything. So anyway, I finish welded this. As you can see, I dressed it. I got it nice and smooth and clean. It's on the inside. You don't have to do that, but I prefer to. I just like to keep things as clean as I can. I'm going to hit this with an orbital here in a second. This is one of those areas where you don't want a lot of penetration, and you can see it a little bit where I got a little bit too much penetration on the inside edges. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to clean that up, and that'll be fine. And that'll look beautiful when all is said and done. But I did want to keep penetration to a minimum on this. This isn't so much of a structural piece, but I'm more concerned about this outside area and this outside area as far as that goes. This little bit of penetration around the edges, I'll get that all cleaned up. I have my welder set to 50 amps, but really I was probably only using 35 or 40 to get through that. So what I like to do is, we get a new pad on here. What I like to do is hit everything with the orbital 60 grit. It just gives me a little bit of satisfaction. Seeing everything look nice and smooth. And I do this with our signs as well. I just like the look of it. Maybe it's just a little OCD or something. I almost feel like I have to do it every time I finish something. I almost feel like I have to do that. But I don't know. I just love having pride in what I do. And these little finishing touches just give me that extra little bit of pride. And this is everything I do it this way. So everything you see me do, I do the same way for everything. Whether you order an air cleaner from me, or floorboards, or a gas tank, or whatever. I take pride in all these little details. This isn't stamped out stuff from overseas. I make these one at a time. Little edge there. I make these one at a time, and I make everything the same way. Okay. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to hit this real quick on the outside edge. Okay. And I'm going to give everything just a little bit of a wipe down because we're about to do the outside edge of this. So, excuse my camera. There we go. Now, if you're using paper towels, which it's what I have right now, you want to be careful when you wipe it down. You're not hitting any kind of sharp edges because that'll leave fibers behind. So you just want to give it a little smooth wipe. And try to get your grubby fingerprints off of there. See? And then we got our ring here. And we're just going to go through and give this a little bit of a wipe as well around this top edge where I'm going to be welding. See? That's all that stuff that you're going to be welding if you don't wipe it down. So you want to get that off of there. Get it nice and clean. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to want this seam on the opposite side. So when I put this air cleaner on, I want these, personally, I want it setting kind of like that, right? So this seam is either going to go here or here or here or here, or whatever. As long as the seam is on the bottom. Because you want, of course, this bigger circle up top and these smaller ones around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my air cleaner, my cover, and I'm going to just hold it right there, centered on this hole right here. And I'm going to give it a quick fusion weld just to hold that in place. I know it's bent up. You'll see with this fusion weld, I'll be able to bend it down. But I want to get it down there nice and flush. Pretty much like that. There. Quick little fusion weld. Now, I can bend it down and I can start working these corners around. And I will typically do it so I'm pulling towards myself. We're nice and flush right over here. My big mitt's probably in the way. But we're nice and flush right here. And we're going to give it another, and we're just going to give a couple little fusion welds. Like that. And then from here on out, I'm just going to work these tacks all the way around and get this set up exactly where I need it. Now we're over here, and this is why I make them a little longer. I'd rather have them long than short. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run over, I'm going to mark this, and I'm going to cut this off real quick, and I'll come back and make this last tack and start jumping around. For the most part, this is what the air cleaner is going to be, and of course, I'm going to weld this up. I'm going to do the same stitch weldings. I'll start it off, and then I'll cut, and then we'll come back, and I'll show you this all dressed up. Pretty cool, huh? So, again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to jump around. We have all these tacks. I'll throw another little tack over here, just because that looks like it needs one. Just like that. And doesn't matter where you start, as long as you start. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, right? So again, just probably do more next time, but blend in with your other welds as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish all this up. I'm going to do this inner trim ring, and then we'll come back. Again, please like, subscribe, share, do all the things. I really, really appreciate it. Again, all these videos are going to get better as soon as I learn how to camera angles, how to speak better in front of the camera, all that stuff. And I really thank you for continuing to watch. And when this is done, you are going to love it. All right? I'll see you in a few minutes. I've got everything welded. Everything's done. Got the backside seam welded. Now, my welds might not be the prettiest, and I probably put a little bit too much filler in them. But they have great penetration, and my stuff does not break. I take pride in that. Like I said, might not be the prettiest in the world, but whatever. It is what it is. So now we're going to clean them up. The way I like to clean it up, and I'm just going to start, and I'm going to show you a small section, and then we'll cut, and I'll come back, and you'll see that finished product. But I'm going to start with 40 grit roll lock, and I'm just going to knock down these high points after I take my dang welding helmet off. So I'm just going to knock down these high points just before it starts touching. We're just starting to touch there. We're going to go nice and easy. Let the machine do the work. I know you hear it all the time, but let the machine do the work. I'm going to get these knocked down. Nice and easy. Be careful around these rivets. just so it starts to kiss. A little smooch on the steel, and that's all you need. We'll get these high points knocked out with something a little heavier, a little thicker, or a little heavier grit. Then I'll knock down the edges just a little bit. Again, be nice and easy. We're going to switch out. I'm going to go to 120 grit roll lock. And we're going to get in there. Just, you got to be careful because it's easy to mark up that steel. But you want to get that nice, smooth, kind of round out the edge as you go. Dance with that steel. Just dance with it. It wants to dance. It wants to be finessed. It wants to be loved. Love that steel, baby. Love it. We're just going to get a little bit more in here. Again, round off these edges. Now you get onto the side. Just give it a little kiss. A little smooch. Like I said, dance with it. See, and it's okay if you have a little spot like that. That will happen from time to time. You can have all the penetration in the world, but it's still possible to get a little low spot like that. So we're just going to come back through real quick. Just give it a little fill. Just like that. We can keep with the 120 here. Just be gentle with it. Love it. Yeah, I didn't go quite hard enough on that. I didn't give that quite enough heat. That's all part of doing this. Now we're going to go through and just kind of round these out. Got that little spot filled. Go through and dance with it. Just make it nice rounded edges, finished edges. Go roundy round, just like that. And of course, I'm going to do this now. I'm just going to show you this now. I'm not going to do it throughout the whole thing until I'm all done. But then I come back to my 60 grit on my orbital. And I just kind of, and every piece I make is like this. Every single piece I make is like this. I spend all the time I can on it. There you go. Nice and pretty. This whole thing is going to look just like that when I'm done. So I'm going to go through. I'm going to get all this done. And then I'll show you that finished product. at least the outside shell. And then after that, we're going to put the stainless in here, and we're going to put the mesh in here. I'm going to put some clamps in there to hold the mesh in, and then the actual air cleaner itself will be done. So again, please like, subscribe, share, do the whole thing, and I'll see you back here in a little bit. Hey guys, so I've got everything ground down, everything dressed up, nice and pretty. I still have a little bit of stuff to do on the inside, but the interest of saving time for the video, I figure I'd just do that later, but you get the idea here. Nice and clean. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't really cleaned up the outside yet, because what we're going to do now is we are going to install this stainless mesh inside of here with these little clips. Just a couple little tack welds. We're going to put the stainless in. We're going to tack weld these little clips on here. And then, except for drilling a hole and mounting the mounting bracket to the backing plate, we'll be about done. So we're going to go and we're going to do this stainless mesh right now. Okay, here we are. We've got our air cleaner. It's dressed up. And the reason why I haven't dressed up the outside yet is because when I put this stainless inside of here and I tack these, it's going to make just a slight little deformation on the outside. So I wanted to clean that up the very last thing. And when I do that, you get to see one of the tools that I made. So what we're going to do is we want our seam back here with this seam here. So I've already cut this and pre-fit it. We're just going to put this stainless right down in here. And I'm putting these clips in so when it gets powder coated, I can pull this stainless mesh out of here and we can powder coat it and then put the stainless mesh back in, so you have that nice contrast between whatever color we powder coat it and the stainless. So now that we've got that stainless in there, looks pretty cool, huh? Now that we've got that in there, I'm going to set the air cleaner down here, and I'm going to grab my trusty magnet, just like that. And we're just going to take these clips, and I'm going to put two of them pretty close together inside of here, and we're just going to tack these bad boys in here, just like that. Okay, so let me get my gloves. And sorry, so the camera can see. That's pretty much right where that little clip's going to go, right about in there. Just like that. I should probably move it over just a little bit. There we go. Just like that. There we go. They don't need to be really clamped down or anything. This is just a real quick little tack. And here we go. Just like that. Quick little tack. That's going to hold this clip in right here. Right here. I'm going to put another one here, and then we'll just space a couple more around. You don't have to have a lot of them. And I made these so you can bend them up a little bit, loosen them, and pull this stainless out. All right, guys, we're back. I've got these little tacks, or little tabs, tack welded inside of here. But see, this is why I didn't clean it up. You're going to get slight deformation, a slight little tack bump on the outside. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this belt sander that I made. And maybe if you guys are curious, you comment, I can make one for you. I can show you how I made it. And maybe we'll make that another video. Who knows? But right now, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this air cleaner and I'm going to run it around here and get a nice nice even finish all the way around this to bring this kind of full circle. No pun intended. So here we go. There we go. And that's basically it. I'm going to run the orbital over the side of this, give a nice finish to it. And again, this is how I do this is how I do every project. You got to pay attention to those details. Those details are very, very, very important. While a lot of other people might not appreciate it, if you're watching this, you probably do appreciate that. And my recommendation is to always, always, always take your time. If you have a problem, solve it. It's not complicated. There is no such thing as failure. There is no such thing as not being able to complete a project. You know, you hear a lot of people say, well, I can't. But this, excuses, excuses, excuses. There are no excuses. If there's a problem, you solve it, you work through it, and you learn from it. You grow from it. It's awesome. It's awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take the camera, we're going to bring it right over here real quick. See if I can see. Yep. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to take this orbital and real easy. Going to go round and around. Make sure everything's nice and smoothed out. Because your goal is, when you paint or powder coat this, you don't want to have body work. So when I finish these, I finish them so you don't have to have body work. So just kind of hit these edges real quick. And there you have it, guys. There you have it. Like I said, I still have a little bit of dressing up to do in these inside edges, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going to go too crazy with that. But yeah, there's our air cleaner. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole here for the center bolt. And you can make a washer, just coat the inside of the washer a little bit, kind of like I did on the on Wayne's bike. I had that that brass sort of decorative washer on there, and I kind of coped it in there. So I've already marked the hole. This one's easy. Just run a straight line from here to here, here to here, here to here, make a little star, and punch a hole, or punch a mark. We're just going to set this drill bit in there nice and easy. There we go. And I'm going to grab a step bit, and I'm going to bring this up to 1/4 of an inch. Just like that. And for the sake of, again, take your time. Press those areas up a little bit. It makes all the difference in the world. So that's that. Now, I've already pre-fit this bracket to here, and we are going to give it a little bit of a wipe down. I prefer acetone. Alcohol works just as well. And we're just going to kind of wipe these edges down a little bit. I don't want to wipe my witness marks away so much, but I'm going to set this right where it needs to be sat. Like I said, I already set this up. And I'm going to weld this real quick. Just a couple little welds around here, and I'll come back here in a second and show you the finished product. Okay, guys, finally, we came to the end of the project. I welded the bracket to the back plate. This is 11 gauge. I know it's overkill, but I want that strength. In fact, most everything I make is out of 16 gauge, strictly because we don't use a lot of 18 gauge here. I would like to use more 18 gauge. It's a lot easier to work with, but I work with what we have. So, there's our back plate for an S&S carburetor. The air filter we're going to use on these is about a 6-inch Canon air filter. If you order from me, you will get the air filter. You'll get the backing plate for the carburetor or throttle body of your choice. Of course, the air cleaner with the mesh, you can decide to have it powder coated or even primer coated. And I will add that little washer I was telling you about that's got a little bit of a coat to the back side of it. So basically, goes together just like anything else. Just a 1/4-20. There we go. Air filter's in there. Backing plate's on. And that is your completed air filter. If you guys want to order one, my email's in the description. Also, my link to Facebook, Instagram, and the link to Ruler Custom Cycles is in the description as well. I really thank you guys for watching. I hope you made it this far. There's going to be so much more to come, and I am so excited to create brand new things. Not just recreate things I've made already, but create brand new things. The next video will be, I will be recreating something else, but with a twist. And it's going to be really, really cool. So come on back next time and watch that video. And please, 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 like, subscribe, share, do all the things, and comment below what more you'd like to see me do. If you have constructive comments, please, definitely. No haters, none of that in here. No arguing, no bickering back and forth. This is all about loving each other. This is all about helping each other grow. And that's what we should be doing in everyday life. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. Okay? And again, my mantra, remember it. You shabba do or you shabba don't. There is no shabba maybe. I'll see you next time on Bad Teeth Builds. Jesus, see? Even I screw up. On Bad Teeth Builds. Steel before smiles.
Got no teeth, got no beef, got steel on my mind. Weld it, burn it, turn it. Bad Teeth Builds, steel before smiles.